Welcome back for another video. I'm Eharbad, a free-to-play endgame player in Raid Shadow Legends, and today is episode 33 in the free-to-play challenge series. It's about a little over a week since the last video. I haven't done a huge amount of advancement within the account during that period, to be honest. There's been certain aspects that we will see have progressed. I'll share those in the usual diary format. In the meantime, I want to jump into the Demon Lord and kind of show you where we are on the team. We will soon be adding in Farrakhan the Fat. I just haven't actually built the champion yet, so he's currently got no gear. And he will be replacing Deacon in this composition. I don't normally run it with Frozen Banshee, but I had a quest today to use a rare champion, so I used that. Ordinarily, I'm running it with Rhonda in that slot. So let's start off. It is full auto, but I do a manual intervention if I want to get the really high damage numbers, at least for this current composition, on turns 19, 22, 25. And that requires me to use Delage's A3. I can't full auto that aspect because Delage's A3 is on a 4-turn cooldown. We're going 2 for 1, and I would need it to be a multiple, therefore, of a 3-turn cooldown for that to line up precisely where I want it. Sadly, she's not a 3-turn cooldown, not a 6-turn cooldown, so I use it once per cycle from turn 19, 22, and 25. Normally by 28 we're dead, but if 28 we did get there, we would use it again. Beyond that, Deacon's A3 is turned off. Rhonda's A3 is turned off. Brogni opens with the A1, then A2, then A3. And that's to ensure that I line up his shield to protect me on AoE 1 and also to protect Rhonda, who is the general stun target on for the stun turn, so the third turn of the clan boss. So we've got good protection on turn 1 and 3, and that's why, as I said, in those later stages, 19, 22, and 25, we're using Delage's A3 to give us that bit of extra shield to protect us on those AoEs. We don't have ally protection, we don't have increased defense, we don't have strengthen. So there's a lot of big damage mitigations that we don't have in this composition. So we're really using Brogni's passive paired with shields to give us that extra bit of survivability. Now, whilst this runs, I'll try and make sure that I keep an eye on it, and we'll jump back when we hit turn 18. I can show you it. We'll jump into the photos in the meantime and go through those. So on the last video, I was progressing through the hard dragon, and I did manage to clear up to stage 7. It was pretty sketchy on stage 7. Ultimately, I ended up falling back to stage 6, found a team that worked reasonably consistently. I say reasonably, it worked 100%, and I did the entire dragon tournament farming stage 6 hard at 100% consistency. Fairly slow run though, around 5 to 6 minutes if I remember correctly. I did beat Doom Tower normal. This is on the 12th of May, so 8 days ago. Did manage to beat Doom Tower normal, got a Void Shard and the Avatar, and just like, again, it's our clan boss team. That ends up being I think a lot of the way people progress through Raid Shadow Legends is once you get that first really kind of solid clan boss team, they're going to be in some of your best gear, they're going to be some of your strongest builds, and you kind of end up using those champions everywhere you can because they kind of give you a bit of everything: good survivability, a decent amount of damage, etc, etc. I also did a bit of backfill on Sacred Order, managed to get the 3-star on stage 12, and I managed to get a 1-star clear on stage 18. I think to get past that, we're going to need to get the Sanguinea and Mistress, or, bring someone else in. We need at least 2 more 5-stars, I would say, to really get much further. We are lacking a little bit on the crowd control. It's not too bad. We got a bit of TM control from Deacon, and the bit of TM control from Armiger, but it's a little bit lacking. This is also quite funny because in the last video I was getting really lucky on Sacred Shards, and on the 12th, which I think is like pretty much the day after that video, yeah, it's getting out of hand. I got another Sacred Shard and another in the exact same chest. So both the chests I got on the 12th were Sacreds. Here is on the 13th. This is Nightmare. I was able to get one key done on Force Affinity. Here's the final splash screen. Again, that damage predominantly coming from Rhonda and Brogni, despite the fact they're negative affinity. Overall, the team is pretty solid, I have to say, and I'm quite interested to see what kind of damage we'll end up getting when I eventually do swap out Deacon for Farrakhan. I'd probably quite like to get around to doing that this weekend. I just haven't had time. Last weekend I was away, and then throughout the week it was just crazy busy. I didn't have any time to do any kind of experimental, imaginative, or kind of interesting parts of the game, and it required me to basically just get the daily stuff done. Right, before we carry on with those images, we are up to turn count 17, so we're getting very close. And I think now is a good opportunity for us to jump back into the game. You'll see there Rhonda taking that clan boss stun hit, shrugging it off, obviously with the block debuffs. We'll then cycle back round. Brogni's going to put up his A3 and give us the shield on the boss's first AoE. Now, obviously, on certain affinities, we're going to have to change the order of these. We need to make sure we're blocking the decreased speed against Spirit. But other than that, it's fine. So we're just about to come up. Rhonda's going to take the next turn. We then take it off auto, put the shield on. Now, Brogni's actually going to grow the shield a bit with his A2, and then that will help protect us on that boss's AoE. And I jump in, as I said, from turn count 19 onwards, because by 19, if you get an unlucky crit, it gets to the point where you could potentially lose a champion. And by turn count 22, I would definitely die without having that shield up. So basically, it's the difference between a 4 key and a 3 key. If I let it full auto and didn't intervene, I'd have a consistent 4 key with maybe a sporadic lucky 3 key. Whereas if I just do these small bits of intervention, I will definitely get the 3 key. So for me, it's worth doing. It doesn't take that much time. It's one turn, one skill on one turn. So it's not too much. And we're just about to do it again now. Rhonda, take the turn. We jump in, put the shield up. Brogni grows it, and that should help us survive another hit from the clan boss. So yeah, that is all it is. Let's jump back into the photos, and we'll take it from there. So the next photo I wanted to show was this arena battle. I have to occasionally beat teams of higher power, and it's actually something I've started doing it a little bit more. If it's not a speed team, I'm finding this particular composition of mine, using Razzlevarg as speed booster and general damage, Deacon for drop defense and a bit more TM control, Brogni to give me a bigger shield with the passive, plus all the rest of it, and Scramus as a form of control. I actually can do pretty good work overall with this composition. 2 seconds, I need to intervene back on the clan boss team. It's now boss count 25. So there we go, turn count 25 done as well. Next one, here's another team, even higher team power. So I just wanted to show that even though my team isn't the highest team power, with a good composition, we've got the speed, we've got the drop defense, we're quite solid. We've got the block debuffs and the shields coming in from Brogni. And like I said, that control from Scramus. We're also able to reduce other people's buffs, both Brogni's A2 and Scramus's A2, giving us a little bit of utility in that regard. It works pretty well, like I said, as long as it's not a speed team. And then here's another example on tag team. I haven't yet promoted to Bronze 4. We're just not quite there yet. Then here's another one, just showing that I'm actually trying to win these battles and fighting people with higher team power. It's not the end of the world. We are able to do a decent amount of work, and I'll actually probably, hopefully this weekend, I'll show some fights, because it'd be quite nice to get up to bronze 4, to be honest. Then this is still on the 13th of May, a bit of Night Revenants, went backfill, got the 3-star for stage 6, got the 3-star for stage 8. And this was really where I was stuck on. This is one of the later stages. Not trying to get the 3-star here, but I just don't have enough damage between Miscreated and Doom Priest. There's just not enough damage to beat this wave with the two Cardinals, 2 Apothecaries, and even the Chevalier kind of providing a bit of additional sustain on their side. Small heal plus small increased defense, just a real pain. So I think to progress further in Night Revenants, we're going to need to have a DPS champion of some description, or at least more DPS, maybe a third 60, something like that. Here is a Ultra Nightmare PB, 29 million. Again, it's the same composition I just showed you in the live run, and it's using the exact same technique. And it's really just about what RNG you get in terms of big damage coming from the clan boss. Do you get unlucky crits? How many brimstone procs do you get? I'm currently finding both Rhonda and Brogni with brimstones working quite nice. It does mean I keep it up basically 100% of the time. Potentially I could swap Rhonda at some point to Phantom Touch, but I'm not in any particular rush to do so. I do think I'm going to put Razelvarg in Phantom Touch, and maybe we'll do that. Now that I've shown you the team as it is, that might be the next thing we'll do. We'll whack Razelvarg into Phantom Touch, see what damage we can get out of that, and then we'll swap Deacon to Fat Man. Here is just a funny one. This is on the 14th. I couldn't beat this solo Krisk. Although I have good control and quite a solid team there, I didn't have enough damage to be able to get through Krisk's continuous heals. Like, he had 2 higher resist. I think this is like what do you call it? Like a Hydra built Krisk. You can see like 118k power for this one Krisk. I couldn't strip the buffs off him, so I just couldn't kill him. But I swapped the team around a little bit. Rhonda with the irresistible A2 and a bit more damage from Gembo, and it was enough to win the fight, but it still took 1 minute 20. And then here on the 15th of May, so during the middle of the week, we had this champion training tournament going on with a legendary book at the top end reward. Got the Stag Knight to 6-star. So that's yet another 6-star. I think this is the 17th 6-star we've got on the account. I then also went and took him to max Ascension. I considered waiting for the next CVC, but I don't want to delay progress on the account that much. So I decided we'll get the Ascension done right now. Here, this is actually, I think, is the 15th, was the 15th of Monday? I'm not even sure anymore. But this is a screenshot of the arena defense. And ultimately, it's just not strong enough for me to get to bronze 4. I lose too many fights when people attack me, or I'm too attractive a target. My overall team power is quite low within the bronze 3 categories, and it's not really scary enough. We're heading in the right direction. Obviously, when we've got that Stag Knight and the Arbiter in play, I think we'll be in a better position. Here is the screenshot of the summon rush. Yeah, 15th definitely was the Monday. And it was just simply to say I summoned enough mystery shards to get the 50 gems. And here you can see those 50 gems right there. Then we have a Nightmare PB here, nearly 47 million. This is a Force key. So again, despite the fact that we've got negative affinity for 3 of our champions, it's pretty solid, even with the negative affinity. I find it's a good team overall. It works in all affinities. In both Nightmare and Ultra Nightmare. I'm pretty confident at 3-keying Ultra Nightmare in basically all conditions. I think as long as I get 1 Void key, I think 3 Spirit keys might be a bit of a challenge, as my 3 Force keys, to be honest. And then on the Nightmare side, it might not be 100% consistent 1 key yet. It's sometimes it's a little bit close. I think once it's only been 39 million, but I think when we get the Phantom Touch on Razelberg and we swap the Farrakhan in, it will be a definite 1 key. Next up here, also on the Monday, the luck train continues. Ultra Nightmare, Clan Boss chest. You've just got to do it. It's just brings you so many resources. Here we're getting a legendary tome and a void shard. And then on the 16th, actually, there you go. It was this was why it didn't quite 1 key. I remember now. We had to use a rare champion. I threw in the Frozen Banshee. This was on Magic as well, which is obviously negative affinity for Delaja and Deacon, which is actually a bit more of a problem for us, to be honest, because it means we don't have consistent decrease attack and we don't have consistent decrease defense. So I think I could have 1-keyed even with Banshee as long as it hadn't been negative affinity for my decrease attack champion, really. So I probably will need to think of a secondary decrease attack option in place of Delaja for magic affinity at least. And here the Nightmare chest gave another legendary book and a void shard in the Ultra Nightmare chest. Like it's quite disgusting. The luck since we've got onto Ultra Nightmare. It won't last, but I like I said, I'll share all the chests that give something interesting. So basically, legendary tome, sacred or void, and the other Ultra Nightmare chest gave another sacred. Please don't hate me. And then on the 17th, we got Arbiter to 6-star. On the 18th, I bought the Stag Knight Soul. This is on Magic. So again, negative affinity for the Delaja and Deacon. This time Rhonda back in place instead of Frozen Banshee. And we nailed the 1-key. So I think it is a bit on the RNG side, particularly as you get a little bit later in the game. You in the fight, you definitely need that decrease attack on. And so there's a bit of RNG as to whether you get the weak hit or not. And I do think Rhonda just has that little bit more damage than Frozen Banshee in my team. The Ultra Nightmare gave me yet another Sacred Shard. This is on the 18th, so Thursday. So we've actually had a lot of Sacred Shards since we started farming Ultra Nightmare. We've been pretty lucky. I can't deny at all. But it means we're in a really strong position for the next fusion when one comes around that we want to do. Obviously, I'm not doing Jetney on the challenge account. I don't think she is worth the investment from my side. I didn't want to do the summon rush last weekend. It wasn't something that felt that it was a good use of resources to get a champion that I just don't really need. We managed to 1-key Nightmare on Spirit. This one was a little bit... I wasn't sure how this would pan out because I have to move the timing of Brogny's A3, which means I'm not protecting the stun. So it's not ideal, and we definitely do take a hit on damage when we're fighting Spirit. But it just scraped. It just about scraped through. Again, once we get Phantom Touch on Razelberg and we swap in Farrakhan, I think it'll be a lot more comfortable. I managed also on the Thursday to get a Wanderer from a Mystery Shard. Unfortunately, I didn't take a photo of the actual Mystery Shard pull by accident. I clicked off of it, but I went straight to the index and showed it there, which means we're only one rare away from Razin. I then put together like a temporary build for Stag Knight, just something to kind of get us going. I do need to, at some point, sit down and rebuild Stag properly. And it will probably coincide with when I do a marginal update on the Clan Boss team. I'll do that rejig of builds. I want to start to move some people into Stalwart builds if I can. I think we might need one more Dragon tournament maybe to get a bit more gear. We're not far off, but I've checked a few times what the builds would look like, or at least what a single build would look like for Stalwart. And it's not too bad, but it's not quite there either. Then backfill on Bannerlord stage 10, managed to get the 3-star there. I do like this overall team. I just think, Oathbound, Elfrig, and Seneschal aren't actually wearing any gear, so that's obviously not going to help us. But I think now, with Ronda and Stag Knight, we have enough damage from them. We just need a bit of crowd control and a bit of healing. Sustain is the main issue. So Elfrig can do some of that, and then it's a question of do we build both Oathbound and Seneschal, or do we only go for one of them and maybe bring in either the Commander or the Valerie if we need more healing? We'll have to kind of see how it goes. We're not quite at the point where we're trying to push faction wars in any kind of serious way. We're just sort of seeing what we can do whilst our attention is on other areas. But I do think faction wars is going to be somewhere I'm going to start to kind of draw my attention to, and start to build up champions to kind of 5-star and sort of flesh out some of the teams. I do think it will partly depend on what we pull during this 2x Ancient event. This is when I'm kind of hoping that we'll kind of figure out the roadmap over the next sort of month or two for the account based on the pulls we get this weekend. I also backfilled stage 11, so managed to get that to a 3-star as well. And then I beat stage 13, but I couldn't beat stage 14 just because of the nature of the boss. It's the ignore defense boss, and I don't have any real form of healing or sustain. The way we can get around that is when we eventually actually put some gear on the rest of the faction war champions that currently don't have any, plus Commander. Commander's fantastic for Bannerlord stage 13 with that really short cooldown heal. So we will do it. It just it wasn't going to happen on this particular day. Then yesterday morning, or actually I think it was yesterday evening, the Delaja Soul was in the shop. I did buy it. I did actually pull the rest of the soul shards I had, and my intention had been to put it in a video. But I got home pretty late last night. I was out with friends for dinner. Got home late. The Delaja Soul was in the shop. I wanted to pull those shards to see whether we got something first before committing the resources to buying the Delaja Soul. We didn't get a soul for any of the champions we actually have, so I went and bought the Delaja Soul. Also yesterday, Dark Elhain came as the day 120 login, which gave us a free 250 points on the champion chase. Then this morning I did Ultra Nightmare on Spirit. Managed to actually get quite a solid damage. 26 million, pretty happy with it overall. I have to say, it worked pretty well. So no real concerns in the end about being able to sustainably 3-key Ultra Nightmare. So I think we're pretty safe on all affinities. And I also, as of this morning, with Fire Knight starting, I tweaked the team that I'm running for Fire Knight 20. Got a new fastest time. It's not really as fast as I'd like. I think, that's partly because we got Razelvarg and Miscreated Monster, 2 magic affinity, which are a negative affinity for stage 20. Not going to help overall in terms of speed running, but so far this composition has been 100%, so that's good. Stag Knight brings a lot to Fire Knight. Personally, you've got the decreased attack, which really helps sustain during the wave, or damage mitigation during the waves. Plus the decreased speed on the Fire Knight boss is really critical. So I'm happy to have Stag Knight into my dungeon teams as an option. I think I'll end up using him certainly in Ice Golem, certainly in Fire Knight, potentially in Spider as well. And then to top it all off, the Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss chest just earlier today, giving us yet another Sacred. So yeah, that is all the images. And as for the Clan Boss itself, the run we started, 28 million. Really solid key. I'm happy with that. 50 million overall. The first key didn't get as good a damage. I had to use a rare champion again, so I was using Frozen Banshee, and I started the run. I was running some errands around the flat. I had intended to come back and do the trick on, turns, whatever it is, 19, 22, 25. But by the time I came back, the run had already finished and we were on 22 million. So I think we probably died, around turn 22, roughly. So it is what it is, but it's fine. Like I said, as long as I'm able to intervene on like 1 or 2 of the runs, then we're going to get the 3 key. So I'm pretty confident of breaking 20 million, no matter what affinity this changes to. So yeah, that is where we are in terms of the shards we have. 93 ancients. We do have the 2x ancients this weekend. We will be pulling shards for it. I would absolutely love a Ragash. I think it would be so good for the account. For me, the thing I'm missing most is a consistent AoE crowd control that isn't provoke. So either 100%, 75% I'd probably accept, but ideally 100% stun or freeze on a reasonably short cooldown, ideally a 3-turn cooldown. That's what would be perfect for me to be able to progress further in Doom Tower. Unfortunately, we are now level 9, so I bought my first Yakal fragments, but we've not been in a level 9 clan up to now. So even if I start buying them right now, which I am, it's still going to be a long time before we actually get Yakal, which is a shame because, if we'd started in a rank 9, level 9 clan, I had said, in before the contest started that my plan had been to buy or rush to buy Yakal, and day 120 in, it takes 20 weeks to get him, so 140 days if you have enough clan gold, and we'd probably be a few weeks away from completing the Yakal, but it isn't what happened. It is what it is. I have been investing some of the gems, like I've done a decent amount of gems over the time. We do have 18 6-stars now in terms of masteries. Arbiter's not finished, but we've nearly finished Stag Knight. I've got to select masteries on Doom Priest, Gembo, but otherwise, like, everyone has quite a lot of masteries done. Still need to select them on Scaramis, but have enough to get to the T6. And you can see, like, not every mastery's been selected. I often end up working this way, where I pick what I know I need, and I use the champion for a while and work out, based on where I end up using them and how I'm using them, what remaining masteries I need. I prefer not to pick something that's then going to act negatively in an area of the game that I want to use them, and it to actually cause problems. So I'd rather not pick a mastery that's going to end up having a unwanted interaction. Better just not to select it at all. So that's just tends to be the way I do it. So yeah, overall we're going to have to buy some space, which I'll probably do after this video, and pull the ancient shards, which I will do shortly, and that will be in the next video. So as always, thanks for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.